الرحمن الرحیم. کلاس کیسے ہیں آپ لوگ؟ میں امید کرتا ہوں آپ سب لوگ ٹھیک ہوں گے، خیریت سے ہوں گے. آج جو ہے ہم جو ٹاپک کور کریں گے یہ ہے سورسز آف پالیسی ان آرگنائزیشن. تو کون سے سورسز ہوتے ہیں کسی بھی آرگنائزیشن کے اندر جو پالیسی میکنگ میں اپنا رول پلے کرتے ہیں. اور اس میں ہم دوسرا ٹاپک بھی کور کریں گے، وہ ہے بچوں امپورٹنس آف پالیسی ان آرگنائزیشن. کہ آرگنائزیشن کے اندر پالیسی کی کیا اہمیت ہوتی ہے، اس کو ہم ڈسکس میں ہم ڈیٹیل کریں گے، ڈیٹیل میں ہم ڈسکس کریں گے آج کے اس لیکچر کی نشست میں. اور دوسری ایک بات جو میں آپ لوگوں سے کرنا چاہ رہا تھا کہ آپ کی کلاس کا ریسپانس جو ہے وہ بہت برا ہے آن لائن کلاسز کے حوالے سے، کیونکہ آج تک کسی اسٹوڈنٹ نے کبھی کوئی سوال نہیں کیا. اس کا مقصد یہ ہے، اس کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ آپ لوگ لیکچرز کو نہیں سن رہے. میں آپ کو کیٹیگوریکلی بتا رہا ہوں، اگر آپ کا یہی رویہ رہا تو آپ کے لیے بہت مشکل ہو جائے گا کہ آپ جو ہے اچھے گریڈز لے سکیں. یا تو میں پڑھاتا بہت اچھا ہوں یا آپ کو بالکل سمجھ نہیں آتا، اور آپ بالکل یوٹیوب چینل کے اوپر جا کے آپ بالکل جو ہے لیکچرز کو نہیں سنتے، اور یہ بہت بری بات ہے. یہ آپ لوگوں کے لیے ٹھیک بات نہیں ہے. ہم اتنی محنت کر کے ٹیچرز جو ہیں 2-3 گھنٹے لگ جاتے ہیں ایک لیکچر کو پریپیئر کرنے میں، آپ تک پہنچانے میں، لیکن آپ لوگوں کا رسپانس جو ہے بالکل زیرو ہے. چلیں اب آج کا جو ٹاپک ہے ہم اس کی طرف آتے ہیں. جب آپ سورسز آف پالیسی کو ڈسکس کرتے ہیں تو کیا چیز آپ کے ذہن میں کسی بھی آرگنائزیشن کے حوالے سے آپ کی وٹ کمز ان یور مائنڈ فرسٹ، کہ کون پالیسی بناتا ہے کسی بھی آرگنائزیشن کے اندر؟ پہلا جو جواب آپ کے ذہن میں یا ہمارے ذہنوں میں آتا ہے وہ ہوتا ہے مینجمنٹ. کہ مینجمنٹ جو ہے they are just like the controllers of the organization, and all the policies are originated from the management, and they always make safe and sound policies and friendly policies which depicts the role of management in any organization. In any organization there are 3 types of sources of policy which we are going to discuss one by one. The very first is management, the second is subordinate executives, and the third is customs and tradition and external environment. They are the major sources of policy making or policy formulation in any organization. For that matter, we are going to discuss one by one each of it. As I have already stated, management is just like a brain of organization. You know, the brain controls the whole body, and similarly the management controls every department and every inch of the organization, and they are just like a core management functional body of planning in any organization. So this planning process, in order to execute those plans, implement those plans in the organization, the management of any particular organization put forward some missions, goals and objectives. So here the question arises, what are the purpose of those missions, goals and objectives? The purpose is very clear. The purpose is to keep that organization on top of the business. Their products should be top of the line in the market. Their efficiency and their good planning is conducive to the development and success of that particular organization. For that matter, if we define the organization's policy, we come to know it is a mean to an end. Mean is the hard work, mean is the policy, and end is the objective. And every policy of the organization ultimately defines the objectives of that organization. So what are the objectives behind that policy? Therefore, during the policy making, they put forward some short-term objectives and some long-term objectives. While they are making a policy or implementing a policy, they may find some discrepancies, errors, loopholes in the management, which ultimately leads towards the redefining the objectives and policy, or maybe both, in any organization. So this is the role of management. You have to keep in your mind that management is just like a brain. As you have a brain, it controls all the movement functions in your body. You're speaking, you're listening, you're touching, you're smelling, your movements. Alright, so even your digestion, even your heart rate, even your breathing, everything is controlled by the brain. And similarly, management is just like a brain in any organization. Second thing, which is very important, that is the subordinate executive. The subordinate executives have a very important role and place in any organization, because the actual work they do, the subordinate executive in any organization. This is a fact that subordinate executive wears the shoes, and they know where it pinches in their feet. What does it mean? When the policy is implemented, these subordinate executives, these are the policy, they get the feedback and they give feedback to their management, the chief executive or to the board of directors of any organization. So they have their role in a policy making. They are the co-policy makers, because they are actually related to the actual nature of the job in any organization. The philosophy behind, or the rationality behind, the involvement of subordinate executives in management functions is very important. Because why it is important? Because it helps in policy acceptance in the organization. When they are involved in the policy making in any organization's policy, they see it by their own eyes. They know what the policy is. That policy is not imposed on themselves. That policy is not imposed on those workers. And they have the basic thing is because they have a communication. There is a communication between them, the management and the subordinate executive. So that is the reason the subordinate executives are very committed and very dedicated towards the success of that particular policy. So this is the role of subordinate executives. But جو اس کے بعد ہے customs and traditions. Whatever the organization is, I mean to say, if it's a local organization or it's a multinational organization, there are no organizations exist who does not have some policy. That is a mandatory that they have some policy. If there are no policies, the management or the subordinates or the workers will not be able to trace the roots and origins of policies. And they will not be able to know how that organizations work in the past and how it has been working now. Such practices are based on obsolete principles because the people are used to them, and it contributes to organization stability. And sometimes the management decide to tolerate them so far as the cost is lower than the cost of changing them. If there are some good customs and traditions in any organization, the workers play. I'm talking about the customs and traditions regarding the policy in any organization, which I have started in the beginning of this third point. If there are some good customs and traditions regarding the policy, the workers in that organization will play their role and accept that policy. If there are no such traditions, what would happen if the management tries to change the policies or implement some policies? The reaction will be there from the workers, and that reaction will be in the form of workers' resistance. They show their resistance about that policy. So that is also a source of policy in organization. So here we conclude the first topic of today's lecture. Now we move on to the second topic, that is, we still have external environment. I forgot that. We still have बच्चों the fourth environment, the fourth one, external environment. You know, there are organizations, in fact every organization does not make policies in a vacuum. There is some environment, there is some working environment, there are inside environment and there are outside environment factors. Inside environment factors belongs to within the organization structure, and there is some external environment factors, they are outside the boundaries of that organization, and those factors could be technology, state laws, competition in the market, ecological factors, and socio-cultural norms and values that may have a profound impact on the organization. These impacts could be directly or indirectly. It can be seen as everything outside the organization that may affect the operations of the organization. And vice versa, the company policy sometimes, it should reflect the interest of the environment as well when they are making policy. Their policies should not be against the external environment. This is what happens in the third world countries. There are pharmaceuticals companies, there are some pesticide companies. They do not follow such principles and SOPs given by the government to dispose of their material in the environment. Let me give you an example of Kejar Jheel in Karachi. That is a sweet water, drinking water lake. That lake has been polluted because the factories are pouring their material, disposing of their water, poisonous chemicals into that lake. So it is the duty of the organization that they should always consider the laws imposed, SOPs given by the governments in the society. There are some issues that sometimes the government does not, management of any organization does not have choice to follow the policies made by the government, but the only thing with the management of any organization can do is to minimize the effects of that external environment which is coming to their organization's efficiency. They can minimize those effects. So what we have got? We have got the sources of policy organization, and now we move on to the next topic, that is the importance of policy in organization. The place or role of policy in the efficient performance of any organization is one that cannot be stressed. So we are going to, the very first point is policies defines the means for achieving the organization objectives. There is no doubt about it. The policies made by the management of any organization is an mean to an end. Here the mean is a policy and end is achieving the organization's objectives. What could be those objectives? Objectives could be successful running of business and the achieving the targets of that organization, etc. The second is it helps to foster an intelligent exercise of initiative. Most of the time we see that some policies are very well defined. It does not depend on the whims of chief executive. Every worker knows the limit within which he can exercise his powers or within which he can take initiative while staying in the limits of his job responsibilities. This is not the case in every policy. There are some policies which are ambiguous, they are not well defined, which go against the whims of the boss. So that type of policy delays the decision making process and could result in the loss of earning, loss of having confidence on the workers, and the workers lost their confidence on their executives. So this is a vice versa. The third point is policies provides a very good base for the evaluation of the company's or organization's performance. If you have a very large organization, there will be some policies pertaining to different departments. You may have heard of many policies. When you go to your professional life, when you're going to work in organizations, you may have heard of the policies named marketing policy, personal policy, production policy, and human resource management policy, and the human resource policy, etc. All these policies are extracted from the general organization's policy. So general organization policy is the mother policy, which we have extracted all other sub-policies. The purpose of these policies are just one: to achieve maximum and lose minimum in terms of capital, in terms of moral confidence in the market, etc. So this was the third point. The last important point is it promotes cooperation and facilitates coordination. Cooperation and coordination in any organization is very important. It is a symbol of success, it is a symbol of flourishment, it is a symbol of achieving objectives in any organization. You know, when you are making a policy, if there is a multinational or a local or a national organization, a good policy outlines the philosophy of that organization. Is that philosophy behind that policy is well defined, well understood, and open-heartedly accepted by the subordinate executives, or is it supported by all the workers irrespective of their ranks and status and portfolio in that any particular organization, in order to make a conducive working environment. And that conducive working environment based on the philosophy of cooperation and coordination. When there will be cooperation and coordination in any society, what you will see, you will witness a productivity, a good productivity of staff. So at the end of the day, we have got, it has become very easy. It will become very easy when everybody knows what is expected of him, उससे क्या expect किया जा रहा है और वो करेगा, और उसको फिर किसी किस्म की सुपरविजन की ज़रूरत महसूस नहीं होगी, और वो इंतज़ार नहीं करेगा उस सुपरविजन का कि उससे क्या एक्सपेक्ट किया जा रहा है. वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर अपना एक ऐसा रोल प्ले करेगा जिससे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की एफिशिएंसी में, प्रोडक्टिविटी में इंक्रीज आएगा, बढ़ेगी. तो ये था बच्चों आज का लेक्चर. मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि आप लोगों को ये समझ आ गया होगा. अगर इससे रिलेटेड कोई क्वेश्चन हो, यू आर मोर देन वेलकम. अल्लाह हाफिज़.